Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our second and final day of our Springboard to Summer conference. My name is Hasiel Hiriart, and I am the director of the Oklahoma Partnership for Expanded Learning. We are one of the co-hosts of this conference, along with the Kentucky Out of School Time Alliance, and we are very excited to be together again and learn more about how we can make quality programs for our youth. I hope that you enjoyed yesterday's sessions, and I hope that you're eager to learn more today. And first off, there are a lot of people that we need to thank for making this conference possible. Thank you to our partners and, of course, our co-host, the Kentucky Out of School Time Alliance. And huge thanks goes to the amazing team behind the scenes that make all this magic look very, very easy and making sure that everything goes smoothly. The team at DCPV 360 and our awesome partners with Collaborative Communications. Thank you so much for all your help. We really, really appreciate it. And of course, we have to thank our amazing speakers, our presenters, our moderators, our room co-hosts, everyone that makes sure that everything goes well. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. So I would like to share just a little bit about OPEL. Similarly to the Kentucky Out of School Time Alliance, we are the after school network for our state. And we really just dream of the day where universal after school is a reality for every kid and youth that needs and wants to participate in a program. And we are also part of the 50 State After School Network that's supported by the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation. And a lot of people get confused sometimes, and I get a lot of times I get asked that question, well, if you're not serving youth directly, what do you do? And I like to say that we serve those who serve youth directly. So we share things like resources, we make connections, we facilitate peer-to-peer sharing, and really we're just here to help in any way that we can. And OPEL specifically is a partnership between the Oklahoma Public School Resource Center in Oklahoma City and the Opportunity Project in Tulsa. And we have a lot of resources available from after school implementation to models to family engagement resources. We also have an online learning system that's offered at no cost to educators. And most recently, we have been working on an interactive statewide map to determine the gaps in our states. So I will be sharing more information about that soon. Now, before we get on to our keynote session, we would like to also thank our sponsors, the Kentucky Healthy Schools team, Save Our Children, the Mott Foundation, and Midland by Mott. Thank you so much for your support. And as a reminder, after this keynote session, we will have a short break. And remember that you can access the session of your choice by going to our conference website. And if you need any technical assistance, we have a great group of support specialists that you can reach out to through our website as well. So now I'm very excited that we have Erik Peterson for today's keynote. He serves as the Senior Vice President of Policy at the After School Alliance. And in addition to Erik, we also have three amazing youth ambassadors that will be part of today's panel. We have Avery Rissinger and Spencer Harrison, who are After School Alliance youth ambassadors. And then we also have Ariel Fader, who is part of the Maryland Girls Moonshot 2023 flight crew this year. So every time that I get the opportunity to hear from youth, I'm left feeling super excited and hopeful about what's to come. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Erik to kick us off this morning.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate the introduction and looking forward to this morning. So good virtual morning to everybody. I'm going to bear with me 1 second while we get a few slides set up. Here we go. And all right, thumbs up. Are we good to go? Yes. Okay. So yes, good virtual morning to everybody. I'm super excited to be asked to speak with you all this morning, and really looking forward to what I know is going to be just an amazing summer this year in 2023. As a youth development, after school, summer, at a school time field as a whole, nationally from where I sit in Washington, D.C., it's just an amazing opportunity this summer to work with young people, to learn from them, to help them on their path to success. And for those of you that are new to my organization, to the Afterschool Alliance, we are similar to what you heard that the Oklahoma Partnership for Expanded Learning does in Oklahoma. We kind of do that on a national level. So we work closely with the Oklahoma Partnership for Expanded Learning, the Kentucky Afterschool Alliance, and the other 48 statewide after-school networks. We work with providers of programs, parents, young people, and partners, really to ensure sort of that goal of having every young person have access to a high quality after school and summer learning program. And we do that through a variety of ways, including Lights On After School, and also in working in partnership with the National Summer Learning Association, who I know you heard from yesterday around Summer Learning Week, which is coming up soon as well. So why am I super excited, even more so than usual, about this particular summer? There's a lot of reasons, but one is that it's the first summer of something called the Engage Every Student Initiative. So it was launched last July, so this will be the first full summer of this initiative. And this is something that the Afterschool Alliance is participating in, along with the AASA, the School Superintendents Association, the National League of Cities, the National Summer Learning Association, and the National Comprehensive Centers through WestStat, all coming together under the umbrella of the U.S. Department of Education and Secretary Cardona at the Department of Education, who had this idea about a year ago now, last spring, to create a Department of Education initiative called Engage Every Student that would work to ensure that, again, every young person has access to a quality program. So it's an intentional, concerted effort. It really focuses on promoting partnerships at the local level, the state level, and the national level, between school districts, between local government and cities, between nonprofits, and all stakeholders, colleges and universities, really to help leverage, in part, those federal COVID relief dollars, which I'm going to talk a little bit about this morning, but also other federal, state, and local funding and private philanthropy as well, to bring increased access to great programs during the summer, but also after school during the school year. And so the American Rescue Plan Act, that I know hopefully some of you are familiar with, passed back in March 2021. It made available really billions of dollars in federal funds for education, really supporting K-12 students, in addition to other uses of funds. But for the K-12 and sort of education school dollars, 90% of that went to school districts, about 10% stayed at the state level, that could be used in part to support after school and summer. By our estimates at the Afterschool Alliance, we've been tracking this carefully and helping on implementation. We estimate about 60% of those funds have been spent so far, but in some states and school districts, it's more than half of the funds that have not yet been spent. And those funds all need to be spent by September 30th of next year, 2024. So there's an opportunity, and this summer is a great, the second to last opportunity that we'll have those funds available. And so that's another reason why a lot of folks are all coming together to be able to support you all as providers and staff and programs in any way we can. So this summer, we hope to see communities tap into those funds even more and provide more and better summer enrichment and learning programs for even more students. So let's dive in a little bit to what we know on the data side in terms of summer learning and what the national policy landscape looks like in terms of growing and sustaining investments that can help support your programs that will do summer enrichment and learning this summer. So this data, the next couple slides, is from the 2020 America After 3 report conducted by the Afterschool Alliance. It's a couple summers old now, but it still shows an undeniable trend with more students participating in summer learning and enrichment programs. And we've been able to update some of the data, which I'll flag here in a second, with parent surveys conducted before last summer and after last summer as well. So what we know is parent satisfaction is high nationally. We know that more than 9 in 10 parents are satisfied with their child's summer program. Nearly 2 in 3, over 65%, are extremely satisfied. And really the reason for that is you all and your peers who run summer programs. So champions and providers of summer enrichment who are just doing amazing and great work. I'm going to slow down a little bit because I know I'm running through this a little fast. So I apologize for that. But yeah, so more recently, again, some of the data that was follow up to the Merck after 3 p.m. We had asked questions previously, what parents liked about programs, what were their young people participating in summer programs and their summer experience. But then we asked that again, sort of during the pandemic last year. And not surprisingly, we saw a little bit of change in what parents were looking for, including, I think, what is that, number 3 on there, safety and cleaning precautions against the coronavirus. I think if we were to do this survey again this year, we'd see less of that, although obviously still a concern as well. But really, as you can see from the list, a safe environment and staffing, knowledgeable and caring staff, which is why opportunities like this virtual conference and other training opportunities to really have that professional development, to really dive into what the evidence says around working with young people and building their knowledge and skills. And also, a lot of times when we talk to our peers at the Superintendent Association and the school environment, certainly academics is key. But it's interesting, when you talk to parents and ask parents about what they value most of all, you'll see here a lot of things beyond academics. So life skills, social connection with peers, physical activity opportunities, the variety of things, being able for young people to be able to choose. And I'm super excited for the better half of this hour this morning that I get to share with you, when we'll actually hear from several young people who can speak to this as well as to what is appealing for them, what they like to see in a summer learning program, and why they are supporters and champions of summer learning programs. But again, the academic piece is in there, but it's one of many components of a comprehensive quality program. All right, so one of the big challenges that we face is being able to serve more young people. And more than half of families without a child in a summer program would like to have their child have access to a program. So as we talked about somewhere around 13 million young people participate in summer programs each summer. But for every one child that is participating, there's a little more than one that would be in a program if programs were available. And that demand has been pretty consistent. We've been doing this data really since 2004, and I have the 2009 number up there, but it's pretty consistently been that more than half of families would like their young person their child in a program. And it won't surprise you, I don't think, if you are a program provider, what some of those barriers and challenges are. Obviously, cost for a lot of families can be a barrier to accessing a program. Transportation, particularly in rural communities, I know both in Kentucky and Oklahoma and many other states, rural parts of the state make it, and even in urban areas and suburban areas, make it can be very difficult for parents to find a way for their particularly younger students to get to programs. And then just not knowing what programs are available. And that's interesting because, and as we've tracked over time, that number has gone down, but it's still a significant number, still one of the third highest barrier. But I know in Oklahoma and Kentucky and other states, a lot of work is being done to map out programs, to be able to create directories nationally. In the discoversummer.org website that launched, I guess, last year now, or the year before, is really trying to address that so that parents can go in by zip code and search and find programs in their community. But that being said, particularly for low-income families, all of these barriers are even bigger to surmount, more challenging as well. So nationally, for young people or for young people in low-income families, are more likely to miss out on out-of-school activities overall. So not just summer, but during the school year as well. And I know many of you are familiar with this stat over here on, I guess that would be my left, that families in the highest income bracket spend 5 times more on out-of-school time enrichment after school and summer than those in the lower income bracket. And if you look specifically at summer, higher income families are almost 3 times more likely to have a child in a program than families with low income. And that is our segue to talk a little bit about federal policy and federal funding and the policy landscape in general. So one of the critical strategies for increasing access to summer programs, particularly for low-income students, but really for all students, is increasing financial support funding. So we know that parents have been, will be, and will likely continue to be the key source of funding for programs. But particularly for low-income families, the federal funding and increasingly state and local funding as well as philanthropy and other supports are vital as well. One of the key funding streams for summer programs and after-school programs that comes from the national level is the 21st Century Community Learning Center initiative. That's been around now, actually celebrating its 25th year this year, which is exciting. But for 25 years or so, those funds that as of about 2001, they changed. They go from the federal government, of course, to the state departments of education, and then competitions are held more or less once a year, depends on the state. But that funding, while it can be used for after school, can be used for year-round programs, and according to federal law, can be used for summer-only programs as well. Although again, that varies from state to state. But more than ever, due to the increased student need, demand of parents, and also increased costs, the need for that funding continues to grow. So for the fiscal year 2023, which we're in now at the federal level, that appropriation spending bill passed just a few months ago in December. It increased funding for 21st Century Community Learning Centers by about $40 million. But of course, the need is even greater than that. And when you spread that out amongst 50 states, it does not meet the continued demand, particularly when we see those grant competitions, really good quality programs that are submitting that are not able to be funded. Tomorrow, actually, the president is expected to release his proposed budget for federal fiscal year 2024, which begins in October of this year, that fiscal year. And we'll talk about that appropriations process and what that means and what that looks like in Congress. But want to reiterate again, we've seen increases. You'll see that the little bars in federal support for after school and summer pretty much every year. But because the costs continue to soar, and see it has not kept up with the rate of inflation. Cost is a big driver behind the decline in participation among low-income families. And those costs are super familiar to you all who are on the line from programs. Whether it's transportation costs, food costs for meals, staffing costs as well. Just everything, has gone up, and the funding, unfortunately, even though it has those increases, it's not keeping up with the increase in costs and the increase in demand. And so that decline of participation among low-income families, that cost is sort of the driver behind. It points to a lack of affordable programs nationwide, and it's all the more reason that additional support is needed. So that support and whether we'll see an increase for this fiscal year is really up to Congress, and I would argue ultimately up to all of us. So the process kicks off formally tomorrow with the president proposing his budget to Congress. Congress will then do, in theory, budget resolutions for fiscal year 2024. I say in theory because in the past couple of years they haven't done that, but they will do the process. It'll kick off this spring through the summer. With appropriation subcommittees and full committees meeting. And this year is a little bit more challenging than usual because we also have a debt limit issue, a debt ceiling that has to be addressed. There are proposals for cutting federal funding back to the 2022 levels. There's lots of discussion, debate about this. The key date to keep your eye towards is September 30th. That's when the current fiscal year ends. And Congress really has to make some decisions by then. Either they can pass funding bills, all funding bills by then. They can pass a short-term continuing resolution, giving themselves a little more time, or they could shut down the government. We've unfortunately seen that before. Or they can do a long-term continuing resolution, sort of, again, push the decision into December or even into next calendar year. But between now and then, the key piece is for every member of Congress to understand what federal programs like those that support after school and summer mean to local communities. And that's really, really where you come in. And it's not all doom and gloom. We know that from polling data that we've done recently, just last November around the elections, support for funding for after school programs is an all-time high. voters across all political affiliations, community types, racial and ethnic groups, age groups, whether they have children or not, are all in agreement that elected officials should invest more resources in things like summer learning programs and out-of-school time programs. The polling data that from last fall as well found 78% of parents agree that local governments should invest some of their money that they receive from COVID relief into after-school and summer programs. And 76% agreed that school districts should also continue to invest COVID relief dollars into after-school and summer programs. And again, this is across party lines. So overwhelming majorities of Democrats, Independents, Republicans, parents, either somewhat or completely agree that all young people should have access to after school and summer programs. And as someone who sits in DC and does a lot of policy work, I can say this is one of the few bipartisan issues that we see this amount of support for. Maybe early education, early childcare, out of school time, one of the few issues where you see this kind of really overwhelming support. And so now it's pretty much kind of sort of up to us in terms of where things go from here. So we know the public is in support. We know the value and impact of these programs. We know the importance of it, but we also know the key role that funding, again, not just at the federal level, although that's critical through programs like 21st Century, but also at the state level, on the local level, the key role that funding can play to help supplement what parents can pay for programs as well. And so there's hope, but it's really up to all of us making the case at the local, state, and federal level, keeping an eye on updates from us and from others about where we are in the appropriations process. We'll have a blog up tomorrow, Friday at the latest, but likely tomorrow after the president's budget comes out, really kind of breaking it down to see where his priorities, where the administration's priorities are in terms of after school and summer and education in general. But sharing your story, and that could be, in local newspaper or press, it could be on social media, it could be in blogs or in person at town halls or in meetings with elected officials. Or we're not necessarily asking you don't have to know a lot of the policy stuff. This is really just talking about lifting up what you see every day as someone who works in a program and supports a program, what you see the impact of that program. So particularly, again, this summer, highlighting what young people are doing during the program. Are they getting, a healthy meal that they may not otherwise have access to, or getting access to physical activity, doing STEM or STEAM, science, technology, engineering, and arts and math activities and experiments? Are they exploring potential careers? Are they doing financial literacy work that helps them understand things like student loans that they may have to deal with when they're a little bit older? Is it, again, helping them maybe get an internship and work somewhere? Is it helping them explore arts? All of those things have, huge potential and impacts for young people themselves, but really for all of us in terms of moving forward the economy, moving forward the country. So lifting up those stories and being specific about what you're seeing, what the impact is, what the effect on parents is when their young person could be in a summer program, all of that is key. And one of the I won't say easiest thing you can do, but certainly one of the many impactful things that you can do is thinking about and considering hosting a site visit for an elected official or their staff this summer when you have when your summer program is in session. And talking with them about when they come about the importance of increased access to programs, what it means for students and families. Talking and also, being real about the challenges, about the increased costs that you're facing as a program, but again, also what it means for the community and for young people, and having young people themselves sit down and talk to elected officials. And why members of Congress are sort of my focus. That could be any elected official, from school board members to city or council members, mayors, as well as state representatives, reaching out to the governor's office. The more that we sort of share and have elected officials and policymakers sort of sit down in those tiny chairs and desks and understand what these programs look like, try the meals, run around outside with the students and participate in some of that physical activity, or at least have the opportunity to. It's more likely that they'll understand when they're making really tough, really hard decisions, whether it's in Congress or the state legislature or otherwise. If they've had that experience, it gives them a different perspective, I would say, when again, they're making some of those really hard, tough policy decisions. And that kind of starts to bring us towards what I like to call the why. So turning to the why I do this, why you all do this, why all of us do this. And that is young people themselves. And so that's what we'd like to do for the remaining part of the time here, is really talk a little bit about, we've already talked a little bit about the potential, the need, the challenges, that it's up to us to sort of make the case, tell the stories about why more investments are important in programs, and what better access to programs can mean for families. But really want to hear now from what is an amazing panel of young people. I've had the opportunity to interact with a couple of them already through our After School Alliance Youth Ambassador Program. We have two youth ambassadors, Avery and Spencer. Avery from Washington State. She's up really early this morning for us, so a huge thank you for doing that. And Spencer, who is in Pryor, I believe, Oklahoma, but both of them will tell you a little bit more about their programs and their experience, particularly in summer, but they're also participating in after school programs as well. And then for those that aren't familiar with the Million Girls Moonshot initiative, which is really a groundbreaking effort across all states to support and introduce more young women into STEM career pathways. Part of that Million Girls Moonshot is something called the Flight Crew that allows young people gives really an opportunity for again, young women from around the country to talk about their experience and leadership in promoting STEM in out of school time. And so from that, we have Ariel, who is from the great state of Kentucky, Commonwealth, I should say, of Kentucky, who is going to talk a little bit about her role as a flight crew member and her program as well. And so I am going to see if we can make a quick transition here to stop sharing the screen and to bring the three of them onto camera. Let's see here. If we can get Spencer and Avery, and there's Spencer and Ariel, if she joined us. All right. Excellent. Thank you again so much, particularly for getting up, super early. And I know it's a school day, so we really appreciate your time spending the next 30 minutes or so with the group. We have over 80 folks from around Kentucky and Oklahoma on the phone that are looking forward to hearing a little bit about your experiences. So we're going to start off, I think, with Spencer, because I know he has places to go, people to see as well. But again, as much time you can spend with us would be great. Spencer, why don't you start off by just telling a little bit about yourself, about your summer program and after school program that you're involved with, and we'll go from there.
All right. My name's Spencer, and I'm from Pryor, Oklahoma. I'm currently doing a mentor club. It's an after school program. It's where we hang out with fifth graders and we show them around our middle school, and we show them how to be leaders, kind, respectful, and caring to others, because they're going to be the future of this world. So, but yeah, we Pryor currently doesn't have any summer after school programs, but we're looking into that, and we're really hoping we can get some summer clubs, because I'd be interested in that, and I know a few people that would really be interested in that as well. All right, so I mean, the programs, I think they are just really important to just not only to me, but like other people that they really help out. They help grow skills and social skills for other people, and they help them just to engage with other people. And the directors, if you get really nice directors, they're loving and caring to others. So, but yeah, it really helps build social skills. It helped me build social skills as well, because I'm a very socially awkward person. So, but it really helped me to like talk to others and not, be that awkward person out there. I mean,
Different opportunities.
but the opportunities it brings to the table, but our schools are funded, like our school funds it, so we don't have to really pay for them, and we have tons of opportunities. And I know other schools don't have this, and that's why I think they should give more funding to after schools. But the opportunities that they bring to the table and that help you like understand what you want to do and how you want to be when you grow up. And I think clubs, in the way like they show you what you like and what you don't like and what you want to do and what you don't want to do. And I think that's really important and special, because I tried different variety of clubs and I can't name one club that I didn't really like. I mean, they were all amazing. So, but yeah, that was the opportunities that they bring. I think every kid across America and nationwide, like everywhere, should get to experience what some few schools and across America get to experience. So, I mean,
Awesome. Oop, go ahead, keep going.
that's almost all of this, everything I have to share.
Cool. Well, we'll come back to you with a couple follow-up questions too, if you're still on. Hopefully you can continue with us. I'm going to jump now to Avery with kind of the same question of, tell us a little bit about yourself, about the program you're involved with, why programs are important to you, and we'll start there. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Avery. Sorry. Thank you. Hi, I'm Avery, and I'm part of Kids Rank. And Kids Rank mainly is to create stability and support for military children. I'm a military child, or my dad's ex-military, but still, I've gone through the experience of moving around, and it's really hard moving around places to places, and you really get lost kind of from that experience. And it's hard to find friends really who can connect to you and relate to what you've gone through by moving around and going to different states and stuff. So Kids Rank really provides a place where you can meet people who've gone through similar experiences, but also it also provides I lost my train of thought. It also provides entrepreneur programs and after school programs and summer programs to help connect you with other people and to give back to your community, such as like the entrepreneur program. You learn social skills. And then over the summer program that I was a part of a little bit, we did more of like Toys for Tots, and we did some other activities like Feed My Starving Children, which was a great way to learn and give back to the community.
Awesome. Thanks so much. All right. And now we will turn to hear a few opening remarks from, I want to say Ariel. Is that right? Ariel?
Yeah, it's Ariel, like the mermaid.
Okay, got it. From right there in Kentucky. So if you talk a little bit about yourself and your program, and a little bit about A Million Girls Moonshot Flight Crew would be great too. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm part of the flight crew, as you all know, and I'm also part of Inter Alliance, which is a Cincinnati-based tech nonprofit for high school students that really just fostered like technology education opportunities for that. It's really unique. I get to work with over 20 schools from across the area, and with this, we're able to host the nation's largest student-run tech conference. So through this, I've been able to go to a bunch of different summer programs and just STEM developmental things. And I have to say, they've been like just transformational and showing me, like, as a woman in STEM, what exactly I can do, what opportunities there are for me, and what support programs there are specifically. But even on top of that, just like developing my own technical skills and making sure that I'm prepared for whatever career I choose to pursue later in life, whether that is in technology or in another field, because they're so interconnected. So all of those reasons are why I really encourage other students to like join organizations like this, and stepping forward, like even joining like an after school club or activity, or joining nonprofits like Interalliance and their communities that are able to have such a big impact, and fostering just this connection between students and other students and students and business professionals, so that they're able to understand what kind of career path they'd like to take in the future.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Thank you all for sharing a little bit. So I have a couple other questions for the group. What do you think, or, you have choices, obviously, particularly the older you get, maybe a little more choices, but you don't have to spend your time during the summer in a summer program or after school in an after school program. There are other things that you could do with your time. So talk a little bit about what are the aspects of a program that makes you keep coming back, makes you look forward to it for this summer, that you don't necessarily get or see in some of the other choices that you might have, or even sort of compared to the school day. And anyone who wants to jump in can jump in. You don't have to answer, but if you want to answer, you can, or if you all want to answer, you can.
I mean,
go.
Go ahead, Erik.
Well, the big thing for me, I've been a part of a few summer programs from different states I've lived in, but all of them have in common, like the people are the main part. If you have a good group of people in that summer program, and just the vibe is right, and just the people, I think the people is very important, and to have a successful program, summer program.
Yeah, if I could go ahead and jump in there. I know that, like, I'm not sure if this is like trying to appeal to like nationally, but like as someone who lives in Kentucky, Kentucky specific, I cannot emphasize like joining summer programs enough, because I had the opportunity of being part of like Governor School for Entrepreneurs and Governor School for the Arts. So just going to those has like really just expanded like my view of what kind of opportunities there are. And I think one of the biggest components of this that most students might not realize is that it's not even like what exactly you're learning that's the biggest benefit. I think it's really like the connections that you're able to make with other like-minded students there. Because through that, I've made so many different friends that I never would have been able to meet before. And now we work on projects like outside of whatever group we were in initially. And I've been able to connect and develop these projects with them way, way past our like initial meeting at those summer programs. So yeah, I definitely think that students should try to join more. And there's so many like different resources online that they like, just simple Google searches, but also like connecting with your counselor or just community members to help you find something that aligns with your interests to better help you achieve your goals.
So a few really cool aspects that really speak to me about clubs is one of them would have to be like the way that the people who run some of the clubs are just so compassionate and kind to me. They're compassionate, kind to everybody, and they show them the love that, you know, some kids don't get at home. Some kids, their parents may sometimes don't care about them, and these ones that go to the clubs get to experience that kindness and compassion. And you know, that really makes me feel really good. I know it's really special for those kids to feel that as well. And I would say another is that like sometimes these high quality clubs, like sometimes like ours, we got to have like a songwriter come over, because I did a club about like songwriting and stuff, and she got to come over and share her and like her experience about songwriting, because she's a country singer. She's a really good singer. So, but I mean, like some of these clubs get to have that really awesome stuff with them. But I mean, for me, it's the directors and that they show the compassion to others. I think that's just really special, and that really keeps me coming back.
Awesome. Thank you all. You're painting a really positive, excellent picture of what and the truth of what programs can and should be offering for young people and making them really compelling to come back. So one of the, several of you brought up the importance of, quality programs, and a lot of the focus of this virtual conference yesterday and today, the workshops are around components and pieces that make a program quality. Obviously, professional development and training for your program staff is one of them. But one of the research shows that one of the key aspects of a quality program that has great impacts for young people is that young people themselves, the students who participate in the program, have a voice in the process of that, or either a leadership role or a voice in the process of deciding what clubs are offered and what aren't. And just a say in the program itself, and that the more that programs are able to incorporate and provide opportunities for young people to work in a program, the more likely they are to have greater impacts and greater outcomes and success in the program. So talk a little bit about, for programs that maybe are struggling a little with this or trying to figure out how to incorporate young people into the program and provide them an opportunity to either lead or to have a say and a voice in what the program looks like. Talk a little bit about how programs can do that, or what your experience has been with some of your programs that do a good job of that, or programs that maybe didn't do a good job of that, and what the impact of that was. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. Whoever wants to start.
Yeah, so I think a major differing factor between like the different organizations I've been a part of is like, I think for any organization that doesn't already have, for example, like a youth council, like officer positions for students to step up and take charge, they should definitely try to implement those. And I think that those positions should be specific to whatever organization it is. For example, like with Interlines, the one that I was a part of, like we have a chapters program, a operations program, like specific to each and every one of the operations that we do. So with this, students are actually able to take charge in whatever sector they are either already talented in or would like to learn more. And like the amount of students that like I've seen come in through this program and come out with like such amazing skills and abilities, and they were able to make such a big impact on their communities, like that was just amazing. So I think that definitely making those leadership positions and making them specific is important. But an additional thing is that for these programs, particularly like organizations or summer programs, I believe they should start instituting like alumni networks for students to continue to get involved if it's just a one-time thing. For example, like with Governor's School for Entrepreneurs, I'm really happy that I got to be part of their first iteration of an alumni network. And through that, I'm able to give them suggestions on how to improve. And I'm able to still connect with like future students that are in that, so that we can all make a better experience and cater it to like the pressing skills that students need today, and just make it the best experience for everyone.
That's awesome. Thank you. I love the alumni idea as well. Avery or Spencer, anything in terms of the role of youth in helping support programs, or having a voice, and what kinds of clubs? Any ideas or things to add on that?
I do think that having a youth board or youth advisory board is very important to hear voices from, or for example, Kids Rank, I'm part of the youth advisory board, so I've gone through the program. I've gone through the many different programs they offer, and I was able to be a part of this youth board. And what the main thing we do is give our advice to the program and to the main board, people who are no longer teenagers and who are no longer children, who are like hands-on part of the program. And so we really just give our ideas and give support, and they give us and they give us they'll come in and they'll give us some ideas that they're thinking about, and we'll say, well, maybe we can switch it up, and maybe we can go with this direction because we know what our audience is and we know what other kids, our peers, are thinking and what they would or would not like.
Awesome. Thanks. No pressure, Spencer, but if you want to jump in here.
So we currently don't have like a youth board or anything, but our club middle school director, above like all the middle school clubs, he does regular surveys about what kids would want and what kids would what they want to join in, so, and what they like, what they don't like. And I think that's really helpful. But from what I've heard from youth, from like people who have like youth voices, just like in like the White House and Congress, they have a speaker, right, to tell them what they want. I think youth should definitely have youth voices, like, because they would represent the youth people, and they would understand what their peers want and what their peers don't want, and they would really help out the directors, I would definitely say. So I think it's really nice. It's a really crucial part too. So thank you.
Awesome. No, thank you. Very good. So I think, I mean, I could ask you all questions all day, but I know everyone has places to go and things to do. But I'm going to attempt, it looks like the chat's working pretty well. So I'm going to open it up if there are folks in the audience today, attendees who want to pose a question to Spencer or Ariel or Avery about their programs or their experiences or anything like that. Feel free to drop that in the chat. You might also be able to take yourself off mute as well and ask it. I believe we have that capability now as well. So either way, so if anyone wants to, curious what's on the minds of these three folks. And while we're waiting for that, I will take advantage of being moderator here and ask another question just around summer in particular. So I know, Spencer, you said you don't have a summer program there, but for communities that don't have a summer program, the options that that young people have, or what you would be spending your summer doing otherwise, I don't know. Give us some ideas as to why, again, if you were going to make the case right to the community that doesn't have a summer program, why a summer program is so important to continue that continuity from school year to school year, and also to provide access to enrichment as well. So give us your best sort of quick 30-second pitch on why summer learning programs are so important, in addition to after school, but really focusing on summer.
I can go ahead and give my input on this. So summer programs, I think, they're just as important as like co-curricular programs that are during the school year, because over the summer you've got these 3 months where you essentially you don't have schoolwork. So to compound on that and to make sure that your transition from grade to grade is seamless, and that you're progressing in whatever area you'd like even just exploring something new that you've never tried before during the summer, like you're still making sure that you are growing your skills and really building that connectivity, because who knows, maybe you'll actually really like that opportunity, and then the next year you'll pick coursework related to that, and you'll find that you're talented in an area that you never even thought that you would be in before. And I think that with these summer programs and initiatives, it's really important for students to take advantage of that. Like, as a high school student right now, like I'm thinking of applying to college. So just having those opportunities, first of all, can make you really stand out on applications. But also it opens up a lot of opportunities for you to apply your skills in real world senses. So just making sure that students are having those opportunities to actually apply their skills, not just like simply learn. I think that's a really big factor in helping these students become contributing members.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, and now the questions are coming in. So if I don't know if either of you want to answer that, or we can jump to, it looks like Deanna, I think I got that name right, has her hand up, and then there's a couple in the chat too. But why don't we start with Deanna? If you have a question. Is that right, Deanna? Is that how I pronounce your name? Yep. There we go. Go ahead. Oh, we can't hear you. Nope. Can you all hear? I can't hear.
There
her.
are a couple of questions in the chat.
Yeah. All right.
Everyone has
Let's go to the chat then.
Okay. Can you see it, or do you need me to read it out?
I can see it. So there's one question. We provided a free camp with transportation, breakfast, and lunch included on a college campus, but it didn't fill up. What advice do you have for encouraging students to participate? Any thoughts or ideas from you all about ways to spread the word about programs? And or is that a challenge that you've seen in your programs where there are extra slots, but more room for students, but students aren't taking advantage?
I'll go. It sounds great. Maybe you can market it during a school year a little bit. Say, hey, we have this free camp during the school year. Because I know over the summer it's kind of hard to see programs that are out available in the summer because some people are out doing things or other things like that. So having it way in advance, like probably by this time you're advocating it by this time of the year, people can plan because I know a lot of my friends, they go out and do stuff and go travel and go do things with their family. So that's why they can't do some summer things. So maybe advocate it earlier in the year.
Yeah, actually, I have some input on this because this was a really big issue that actually I had to face just a couple months ago when we were putting together our hackathon. So normally we get 300 students. We only had 100 students and we had 2 weeks left, but we were able to get 200 more in just those 2 weeks because we started reaching out to the community newsletters. So like telling the parents themselves, because if a kid's parent tells them to do something, more than likely they're going to like be more aware of it and then they'll go ahead and do it. So making sure that you're reaching those community newsletters and reaching out to these parents or guardians or even teachers when they spread news in their classroom, that would be very helpful. And on top of that, like just branching out, maybe going towards more social media marketing because you are targeting a younger audience. So consider making like an Instagram page or things like that where you're able to post about things in like a fun interactive way that's really accessible for I guess a younger generation to try to access it.
Those are both great ideas. Excellent. Sometimes it's hard to get the word out, but yeah, using all those channels. There was another, so Deanna wasn't able to, we weren't able to hear her, but she dropped the chat in, and it's, or the question in the chat, and it's for Ariel, and it's through your alumni program. What are some of the areas of improvement that you were able to give to your previous programs?
Yes, so through this alumni program, it's definitely very different from anything I've been in part of before, because a lot of times you're just in there and then you're out and you just try to like just follow up. And oftentimes there's not a lot for the alumni themselves to do. But through this program, I'm able to apply for grants to fund my future projects. But even despite this, like I'm able to stay in touch with all the students that I met before during that program, because a lot of times if I didn't get their number, things like that, like I'm not able to talk to them afterwards. But through this network, I'm still able to keep in touch and go ahead and work on projects with them afterwards, which I have done so. So for clubs or organizations that would like to institute an alumni network, first of all, make sure you have like contact information of all your participants. I think that's normally a staple. But on top of that, just keeping up to date, like sending in check-ins, and then having this network, like make sure you do meetups. That's a big thing that we do. So we'll have a get together, like maybe 3 times a year. We'll go to like watch a sports game or eat dinner together. And through that, they'll give us updates, and then we'll talk about improvements we want to make for the organization. And we'll have volunteering opportunities where we're able to go back and give back. So I think for any organization that doesn't already have an alumni network, it's a great addition.
Yeah, that sounds great. That's awesome. Thank you. I know we're wrapping up on time, but the other question that was in there was very similar to the first to the one from Carolyn. So around how can program coordinators best recruit young people and their peers into their opportunities? How can they best reach you? We kind of covered that with the other one in terms of different channels for outreach and getting the word out. I don't know if Spencer, you didn't answer that one before. Any ideas on ways to, how would you encourage like your peers, maybe who don't participate in the program there and in clubs to get them interested or involved? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have a few. Like they both really covered it really well, so they kind of left me nothing left. But I would say if someone doesn't join a club, they don't think it's like cool or it's not interesting or stuff like that. So advertising is a big thing, because how would you buy a product like a famous product if you didn't see it on like a commercial or something? So I think advertising is a big part. Spreading the word, flyers throughout the school, that's really good idea. But like just like something that would be interesting for everyone, different opportunities and stuff like that would be really good. So yeah, but they covered it really well. So
You have opportunities
yeah.
to earn a job
Thank you.
being a mentor.
Sure, thank you. All right, unless there are any other questions in the chat or from other folks, we'll wrap up with, I'm going to give each of you sort of last opportunity to, at least for today, to give sort of final thoughts, final words, advice for think about we have about 90 folks now online that are running, staffing, working in summer programs this summer. If you could say anything to them about their work coming up ahead, either words of inspiration or advice or thoughts or based on your experiences, love for you each to sort of close us out with your thoughts for the good of the order. In any order you want to go.
I'll go ahead. So yeah, just I think just the really main points of having like a successful summer program or even a club or initiative is just making sure that you're targeting whatever specific group of students you want, marketing on accessible platforms, whether that's parent newsletters or social media that students themselves will directly be able to hear about. And then having those incentives like free food or things like that to try to sweeten the deal. But on top of that, I think just having more to kind of take these organizations to the next level would be to make sure that you have more activities for students to connect with each other. Like on top of all the learning and things like that, it's so important for students to build their network, because you never know when you're going to need someone else to help you in the future. And that's come in clutch so many times for me. Finally, I think just with having follow-ups with those organizations, making sure that the students aren't just in there for a one-time thing, because I'm telling you, as a student myself, I'd love to give back. So just having those alumni networks or even newsletters where you just keep up with alumni, those are really great in helping both your organization and the future students. So yeah, if anyone ever has any questions about improvements or things like that, I'd be more than happy to help. So yeah.
I'll go next. But to have a successful summer program, I'd say food's a big aspect. That's a little thing that a few of my summer programs that I've been a part of, that they have a little breakfast or lunch, and it was great. Everyone enjoyed that. But especially that it's in summer, I'd say make sure you're doing stuff outside and fresh air. Balance kind of, if you have a indoor area, balance it. But since it's summer, I prefer to be outside and doing more because I'm a sporty person. From experience, I prefer more outdoor, more hands-on experiences to separate from school and a camp kind of.
All right, and I know, Spencer, you have to run, but any last words for folks? Advice?
Yeah, so about the question about that, I think I see after school programs and school as two different things, because school, you have work, you have to do this, but after school program is more relaxed. You get to do what you want. You get to socialize with people. You get to hang out with your friends. You get to hang out with the directors. So you have a more fun time. And what I've heard today from the summer programs, it's the same as that. It gets you in that routine for school. But yeah, I just think the after school programs is just really crucial to people and who they want to be when they grow up, and who to know what they are now. Because I know a lot of kids who are really struggling, and really worries them that they don't know who they are right now. But you don't have to. You can try different things. You can do different opportunities to figure out that. So the question, you'll answer that in the future. So, but clubs for me, that was a big part to figure out who I want to be, what I like, what I don't. So, but yeah, it's more relaxed, and I just think every kid in America should get to experience the thing I get to, and that I get to experience it. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. I know in the middle of the school day, and particularly, Avery's out on the West Coast. I have to get up early. I know you have a lot of other things going on, including a band concert today. So good luck with that, Spencer. So yes, thank you both on behalf of the Kentucky Out of School Alliance and the Oklahoma Partnership for Expanded Learning, who are co-hosting this virtual summer conference today, and all the providers who I know who are on and staff who are on. That definitely was a great start to my day and inspiring. So I really appreciate it. And just to tie it all back again for folks, this is the why. So the reason why we all do what we do in the out of school time field is to provide opportunities for young people like Spencer and Ariel and Avery. And we have to share those stories. We have to share their stories. We have to share the stories of the students in your programs with policymakers, with folks who control the purse strings at all levels, local, state, and federal, and really make the case that, as Spencer put it, every young person in the country should have access, should have the opportunity to participate in these programs summer and year round as well. So with that, I know we're a little bit ahead of schedule, but not too bad. Hopefully just means a little bit longer break for folks. But again, super appreciate everyone's time, and I will throw it back to you, Hazi.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for taking the time. It's truly very inspiring to hear from you. So yes, appreciate y'all making the time for this. So now we're going to have a short break. Remember that you can access the next sessions via the conference website. And then, again, if you need any technical assistance, you can contact our support specialists on the website as well. So yes, after the short break, the next session starts at 10:15 if you're Central Time and 11:15 if you're in Eastern. So thank you so much for joining us.